I never thought I'd be making a video praising a quarterback who just lost a playoff game after throwing 3 interceptions. But here we are. Sure, the Chicago Bears' late game heroics and miraculous wins had to come to an end at some point, and they finally met their match in the divisional round. The Bears simply weren't able to capitalize in the biggest moments and suffered a tough defeat versus the Los Angeles Rams. And while most Bears fans are probably disappointed right now, and rightfully so, the 2025 Chicago Bears, led by Caleb Williams, were truly one of the most unbelievable teams I've ever seen. This team was criticized all year for playing reckless football, but their biggest weakness turned into their greatest strength: their reliance on fourth quarter heroics. The Bears this year were one of the best fourth quarter teams in NFL history. If you were in a close game with Chicago, you were probably losing. But even with their ability to steal wins late, nobody picked them to make a deep playoff run. And obviously, most fans were right about that. If this team capitalized on opportunities earlier against the Rams, instead of waiting until the final plays, we'd probably see them in a conference title game right now. The Bears' downfall was simple. They couldn't make plays late in games the same way they did in the regular season, so their lack of offense through 3 quarters came back to bite them. This team relied way too much on late game miracles. But with that said, even with the quarterback, who had one of the worst completion percentages in the league, this team still trusted Caleb Williams in the biggest moments. And for the most part, it paid off. Against Green Bay, they were down 3 scores late in the game. In most playoff games, a quarterback with multiple turnovers and 3 quarters of underwhelming play is going home. But not the Bears. They rallied with a monster 25-point fourth quarter, and some of the best throws I've ever seen brought them right back into the game. And as their offense got better, their defense fed off that and tightened up as well. And somehow, down the stretch, they forced overtime and found a way to win. Against the Rams, it was a completely different story. The Bears were actually in the game the entire time, but when they needed to capitalize, they couldn't. And what could have been the knockout punch was the Rams finally putting together a clutch fourth quarter drive to take a 7-point lead. But for the Bears, this was no problem. But with 2 interceptions and an overall underwhelming game from Caleb Williams behind him, he took the field with one last chance to tie the game and save the Bears' season. And we all know what happened next. The Bears drove the length of the field and scored one of the craziest touchdowns I've ever seen. It felt like it was about to happen again. That late game magic one more time. But they elected to kick the extra point to tie the game and force overtime. And once again, Caleb Williams' biggest strength became his downfall in overtime. The Bears' defense got a stop, and Caleb Williams needed just one more drive to send this team to the NFC Championship game. But instead, Williams threw a game-sealing interception that led to the Rams' game-winning drive. As much praise as Caleb Williams has received this entire year, and deservedly so, he still has a lot to work on. That overtime interception might not have been entirely his fault, but it wasn't a risk worth taking. They were moving the ball well already, and it was a forced throw. But of course, hindsight is 20/20. That's a throw Williams usually gets away with, but this time, it came back to bite him and his team. Over the course of this divisional round game, and really the entire season, one thing stands out about Caleb Williams. He rolls out of clean pockets way too often, and doesn't make the right plays in the pocket enough. This style of play leads to highlights and great moments, but it isn't sustainable. And that's why people called this team fraudulent. You can't rely on a second-year quarterback to make the play of his life every single game in order to win. But somehow, it worked all season long and almost worked in back-to-back playoff games. The Bears have a lot to fix this offseason, and Caleb still has room for improvement. But that's the scary part. This team is only going to get better next year. And the show they put on in the playoffs this year was absolutely insane. When you look at every team and quarterback that lost in the divisional round, there's a clear pattern. Caleb Williams had 3 interceptions. CJ Stroud had 4 interceptions. Josh Allen had 4 turnovers. Brock Purdy had an interception and no help on offense. So as if it wasn't already clear, this season has made it very obvious that the quarterbacks who play clean football in January are the ones who bring their teams wins. This didn't apply to Caleb Williams last week against the Packers, but it certainly did against the Rams. So if there's one thing the Bears should take from this loss, it's this. They already have the fourth quarter magic every Super Bowl team needs. Now, they just need to be cleaner offensively, and they'll be right back in the mix to win it all next season. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the Chicago Bears and who you think is going to win in the conference championship games and advance to the Super Bowl. But thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.